This next topic is about Andrew Berry and whether or not you trust Andrew Berry. It's brought to us by a Home Builders Association. Give big with a Home for the Holidays raffle. You have a chance to win a beautiful new custom home or a cash prize this holiday season, and help make wishes come true for Make-A-Wish kids with critical illnesses. Raffle proceeds benefit Make-A-Wish OKI, which has granted over 22,000 wishes to children facing critical illnesses across the Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana region since 1983. This year's house is a custom-built ranch with Petros Homes, has 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and a 3-car garage. Just visit ahomefortheholidays.org to buy your tickets. That's ahomefortheholidays.org. Terms and conditions apply. So we know the Browns have those 2 first-round picks. One's going to be high. One's going to be in the late 20s because Jacksonville is good. And the question I wanted to ask is, if Andrew Berry sticks around as general manager, do you trust him to maximize those picks? Gee, we talked about this on the postgame show, but we know we nailed the 2025 draft. Looks great so far. Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger, Quinshon Judkins, Harold Fannin Jr., Dylan Gabriel, Dylan
I would
Sanchez,
actually disagree with that, but okay.
Oh, you disagree? Why?
We know Mason. How good? How do we know? Like, how good is Mason Graham?
Good enough that at this point doesn't feel like a bust.
That's fair.
If he's an above-average player, is that a worthy pick? No.
Fair.
What's the defensive tackles he's in
What's he
company
done
with?
since
That is-
his fellow defensive
that is
tackles
fair.
gone down?
What's the
That
top
is fair.
5 defensive tackles?
However, with the information we have currently,
Okay.
it looks like a
All right,
solid
go
pick.
ahead.
Now, in a few years, we may look back and say you swung and missed on a Mason Graham, but
Yeah.
based on the information currently,
Right.
it looks like a solid draft class. Prior to the 2025 draft class, it's been quite a roller coaster for Andrew Berry. In 2024, this was the Browns draft class.
Hideous.
Mike Hall Jr., who
Go Bucks.
has played a little bit, but not a lot. Zach Zinter, who can't dress. Jamari Thrasher was waived. Nathaniel Watson, who can't stay healthy, hasn't been able to stay healthy. Miles Harden.
Start
who-
nickel.
That's a very loose term of starting nickel. And Jawan Briggs, who might be the best of the entire bunch, who they traded to the New York Jets early this offseason. There's no guaranteed hit in that group. Can we agree with that?
Correct.
Yes.
Mike Hall, go Bucks.
2023. Let's go a year before. Cedric Tillman. No.
Disaster.
Siaki Ika. Already cut and gone. DeJuan Jones.
Go Bucks.
Struggles to stay healthy. Isaiah McGuire. That's a solid
Okay.
hit for a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
That's a hit.
Fine.
DTR gone. Cam Mitchell gone. Luke Whippler.
Go Bucks.
Completely unknown.
No, it
TBD.
ain't. Starting center.
So
I
out
don't
of
have anything else.
Out of 2 drafts, you have 1 guaranteed hit and maybe 2 question marks. 2022 draft, Emerson, solid pick for where he's at. Wright, solid pick for where he's at.
Dang, that's a hit.
David Bell,
Rest is garbage.
gone. Winfrey, gone. Cade York, gone. Jerome Ford, never was any good. And Michael Woods, gone.
I would say Jerome Ford was never good. Like, that's messed up.
He's not wrong.
He was
Am I wrong?
He was all right. What was the
Well, he had one good run against
Okay.
Pittsburgh.
You got to 21, or is that it?
Is that
We
it?
can keep going back, but those are the 3
that
that
it?
are most recent.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
He does have a couple undrafted hits he's found. Ronnie Hickman, for
Go
example.
Bucks.
There are a couple undrafted guys that he's found out of the
well,
woodworks. But
one important thing to point out in that is
no first-round
no
picks.
first-round picks any of those years.
Well, because he made the trade.
Fair, but if we're talking draft,
Yeah.
we have to separate the trade
That's
from the
right.
draft.
You're right.
And not having a first-round pick is going to limit your ability
Right.
to hit. But yeah, I mean it's not good.
So, Jason,
Yeah,
with
how
that
was his
being
first?
said,
How were his first-round picks in 2020 and 2021?
Jed Wills and Greg Newsome.
Yeah, how did those turn out?
Not great.
Yeah.
So, Jason, with that, all that knowledge,
Jed was average.
all the encompassing knowledge, if Andrew Berry is back in 2026 to make the draft picks for the Cleveland Browns, do you trust him to nail the picks like they would have to do to capitalize on that much draft capital early in the draft?
No, I can't say that I sit here and feel comfortable. I mean, it's the quarterback. 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 It's finding the right quarterback. And I don't know how you can have faith that they're going to find the right. They haven't found the right quarterback in 25 years. Why are they suddenly going to find it now? It doesn't. And
You luck into it.
that's it. Like they just have to fall into it and get lucky. And that's part of the other reason why I don't love the idea now, because it doesn't look. And yeah, you're right. I thought that there would be more guys to pick from at the top of this, and there's not. So there's so many holes on this roster. Do you really want to bundle your 2 most valuable assets to move up to take another guy who you may
Not
like?
sure about.
Yeah, who you may like, but I don't know that anyone would look at any of these guys as a slam dunk. Now, if they fall to you, and you're bad enough that you're in position you don't have to give up the second one to take a shot, take a shot. Fine, take a shot on them.
Let me ask you this. You bring up an interesting point, and it goes back to which is EPA? Is that what it's called?
Expected points added. Yes.
Okay. Well, So you say Shador and Dylan Gabriel. It's all in the same.
They're paddling in the same boat.
And then Zach told us last year that DTR and I think Deshaun was all like low on the tier as well.
Deshaun was awful last year when he was healthy.
If they are making the pick, clearly there's no development in quarterback.
Well, you shouldn't have to develop a guy you traded 3 first-round picks for who was an all-pro. That's not development. You traded for a guy who was broken mentally and emotionally, and then he was broken physically.
The rest of the guys were drafted later. That's development.
Yeah.
So why is it like, I guess, why haven't, even though they were drafted later, because I'll hear the whole 5th round, both 2 5th rounds and the 3rd round. I get that part.
I mean, how many of those guys ever hit? Ever?
Seldom. But I feel like there wasn't a ton of improvement either.
From, who are we talking about? Dorian, Dylan, like all those guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Like, I feel like.
Dylan regressed the more he played. The more, I think it was the more, I mean, you guys tell me, the more tape that was out there on him, he just went, I thought his best game was Minnesota. The first time he was out there.
DTR never.
I mean, the way that they were talking about Dorian in camp. And then right? You can back me up on
he the starter.
You can back me up on that, right?
You heard they said that DTR probably is going to be the starter. He was looking better than everybody.
And he got out on the field and looked worse than everybody.
Yeah. Because stop tap dancing. Everybody that play in this offense look bad. All of them. Who balled? Did Baker ball out? No. He was running bootlegs, and then when they got up in here, he looked better than Freddie Kitchens half the time. Look at his numbers.
Well, he had a good year in 2020.
Hold on. Deshaun Watson completely regressed. They said completely.
I'm not blaming Stefanski.
Okay, well,
not
listen.
Okay,
what about DTR? What about him?
Well, he's been good anyway.
Okay, what about Dylan Gabriel? How about him? All right. What about Joe Flacco when he was here the first 4 games? What about that? Was he good with here?
Flacco,
No.
2023.
He was good the first time.
He was good the first time. And guess who was here? Alex Van Pelt. Was he here the second time?
Are you saying that Stefanski's to blame for all these
Here's
guys?
what I'm going to say. Stefanski's offense is one of the worst offenses. It's nasty work. We know this. His offense is JV at best. When you watch it, the route combinations is trash. He don't have good clock management. He still does stupid plays and trick plays like wild dog on the goal line to take his quarterback out. By the way, he can't call.
So who? Let me ask you a question.
He cannot call regular timeouts when the clock is.
Let me ask you a question. And as you know, I'm done with Stefanski. But who are the players that the Browns have had that you think would have been, if they had a good coach that you liked, that players would have been significantly better?
Baker Mayfield.
Well, Baker Mayfield was very good here in 2020.
I think here's the thing.
Yeah.
I believe that when you look at the infrastructure, the Cleveland Browns have missed on a bunch of people, right? We can talk about Andrew Berry. He missed on a bunch of people down there. But there's another thing, too. Take a look at every single one of these players, and when they got to Cleveland, you tell me who had their best life. Jarvis Landry, no. Odell Beckham Jr., no. Baker Mayfield, no. Nick Chubb, Kevin Stefanski.
Nick Chubb.
Watch this though.
You better watch.
Hold on. Watch this.
You have to go too far.
Hold on. No. We're gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring it back. When they had prime Nick Chubb, we was arguing that Chubb didn't get the ball enough. He was getting 14, 16 carries.
20 carries.
Hey, I say, Kevin Stefanski has not maximized not one person. If I ask you, name one good thing Kevin Stefanski can do, name me one today. Just go, please.
You want me to flip it on you?
No, please.
I'm going to flip it on you. When he's had competent quarterback play, they've been a good team. When he's had competent, not great, competent quarterback play, they've been a good team.
A competent quarterback?
Baker in 20, Flacco in 23, Deshaun a little bit in 20, right? 23. When he's gotten competent quarterback play, they have been a good team.
But here's the thing.
And by the way, he's like, I know he's out. Like, right? I don't know it.
Yes,
I don't.
you do.
I better be careful
I
because every freaking thing I say gets
you
freaking
still
blown
didn't answer
up.
my question.
Hold on.
It's probably headed for.
Listen, when I'm asking people about the coach,
Yeah.
I'm like, Does he do a good job of scheming
But
up
who's
stuff?
defending the coach? Nobody's defending the
But
coach.
what I'm saying is, if we going down a list of all of these things, bro, your coach has to pull his weight.
I don't know why you're yelling.
I think all 5 of us want him
None
fired.
of us want Stefanski to keep his job. Maybe Jason. I don't know, but
Did Amari Cooper have his best years?
he did.
Amari Cooper did have his best year.
Yeah.
There you go. Amari Cooper. Here's what I'm saying.
Do you trust Barry?
Here's what I'm saying. Andrew Barry done swung a miss on a lot of these picks. Here's the thing the main component of whether or not you bring Andrew Barry back is whether or not you are Jimmy Haslam. Here's the thing. You just got rid of DePodesta, right? So
he left. I don't know if they got rid of him.
Come on, we know he got him up out of here. He got him up out of here. They say go ahead and get that LinkedIn ready. They got him up out of here. LinkedIn, come on.
All right.
No.
So
No, I'm not going to do it.
Hey, listen. Hey, you got something? I want to hear it.
Go ahead.
I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, you're on the spot now,
What?
Jason.
I actually just found out. I thought he was going to be gone last year. They thought he was going to leave last year, and he.
Okay.
And he
well,
couldn't.
so they could have fired him, and they didn't.
They weren't going to fire him, but he didn't really have much of a role.
Okay.
He didn't. Those last couple of years, he didn't
Last
really have.
couple
much
of years, not just this year.
Yeah, last couple of years.
Yeah.
He didn't really have a lot to do.
Was he still getting paid?
Oh, he was still living in La Jolla, living
So
his
with
best
that
life.
being said, there's this dude on the Browns radio
Here
now
he go.
doing his thing, bro. I mean, he's
So,
doing his thing.
McNuggets.
A couple more
So,
dollars.
G. Bush, do you
I
trust
listen-
Andrew
I
Barry?
listen-
Can I get to it? So here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you say you already gonna get rid of the coach, the thing is, does Jimmy Haslam have a stomach to start all over again? That's the point.
Yeah, because
If-
we don't need none until 29.
It's
I've been saying that for years.
so
About a year
if Jimmy
now.
Haslam has the stomach to start all over, pick more people, then cool. However, there's recency bias. I got to give it to him. If I look at the draft and I look at the people that he has acquired, there's a little bit of recency bias in that because you look at what he did and you think, okay, well, can I compound on that? Did our scouting department figure some things out? Do we understand? Do we tweak some things in the way we were doing analytically and now we're doing it a little bit differently where now you can hit on Schlesinger and you hit on Judkins and some of these people? For me, I wouldn't have no problem if everybody was up out of here. I wouldn't have no problem with it. Go ahead and start over. But here's my thing.
Does that,
Not including you.
Thank you.
But here's my
I wouldn't mind some of the other members of the broadcast team being out.
But yeah, not you.
I had to listen to the Chicago broadcast.
But if Jimmy Haslam believes that the best parts of his football team, the best parts of what he has in the foundation moving forward is this draft class, it would be foolhardy to think that he's not going to stay with him.
All right, here's my thoughts on it, Mike. That honestly, I thought you were not serious about this question when you first asked it. I don't know how on any earth you could possibly trust Andrew Barry. I don't know how on any earth you could possibly trust Kevin Stefanski. They have destroyed that trust. The team is worse than it was when they got here. The team's been absolute crap outside of 6 weeks for the last 5 years. They made one of the worst trades as an organization, I'll blame everybody, in football history in the Watson trade, even though I thought it was a great trade at the time, and it obviously backfired. Most of his draft picks have been terrible. Very few guys have overachieved. And while I think he did overall a pretty good job in this draft, the jury is still out. This idea that Mike was out of his mind as usual. Is this the greatest draft of all time? They barely played.
I never said that.
Mason Graham, we don't even know if Shedeur Sanders ends up not being the guy. Now, if he is the guy, then obviously this trade's this.
If he's the guy, it is a great
then
draft.
it'll be a great draft. If Shedeur Sanders is not the guy, and Mason Graham is just a guy, it's not that great a draft. You had the second pick.
If Kevin
And first of all, one more thing. I love Quinshawn Judkins, by the way, more than anybody on this panel because I got screamed down about saying I would take about him versus James Cook. Everybody else said James Cook is way better, okay?
Right now.
Quinshawn Judkins statistically is not having a good year. So if you're going to yell at me that I can't compare him to James Cook, then don't tell me he's 100% a hit yet.
I mean, but here's the problem.
Yeah.
We're taking this in a vacuum. Quinshawn Judkins is not not having a great year, not because he's not good, it's because who do you have around him?
When I said that about James Cook, you guys were yelling at me.
No, I didn't say that.
You
that
were
was
yelling at me.
It was
Y'all
him.
yelled at me.
I said James Cook is better. That's not controversial.
Hey, look, bro.
I said if Quinshon Judkins was on the Bills, he'd be.
You never asked that question.
I said
No,
that.
you did
Go
not.
back.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The bottom line
Don't
is.
do that.
The bottom line is that this combo has been here for 6 years, and they both suck at their job, and nobody can convince me otherwise. You may convince yourself. You can say whatever you want. There's no argument to me that these guys deserve to keep their job.
Wait a minute, where you at with this? Because I remember you was, if you want to fire him, fire him.
No, I think.
Where are you at now?
I think he's a good coach in a bad situation. I think they're probably going to split at the end of the year. I think both sides probably need a clean break and to start over. I still think he's a good coach.
Okay.
In the right situation, I think he's a good coach.
So if the front office was more clean upstairs,
well,
you
here's
think
the
he could
thing.
thrive?
I think it will be disgraceful if the only one, and this is on record, like this has been out there for a while. Andrew Berry was in first on Deshaun. He was the first one that wanted Deshaun. He was doing the work before everybody else.
He was doing the work in Philadelphia.
I've written
memory
that.
serves correct.
So if Kevin is the one who gets fired and Deshaun is still here and Andrew is still here, that's disgraceful. That's disgraceful.
Yeah, I think everybody goes. I think everybody's go. We want Jimmy to go. He can't go. I said yesterday on Twitter that my Christmas gift to all of Ohio would be the two owners of the Ohio football teams are forced out since they're the two worst owners in the sport. And they're both a disgrace. They're a disgrace to the state. They're a disgrace to Jimmy Haslam's a disgrace to the city. He's I expect a moment of silence for Rob Reiner this Sunday, by the way. But I'll be very angry if that
I'll
doesn't
say
happen.
this: if Andrew Berry goes, it's going. What has undone him is the lack of development, the lack of acquiring, offensive linemen. Like the offensive line, and it has been in the cave for 3 years because if you do not have an offensive line, you don't help the two most important positions that you do have. The quarterback needs protection, and offensive line provides that. And running backs that you just drafted need holes and not be able to be hit in the backfield. That's so those are two things that the Browns are sorely missing. And if you have a line, you automatically make two facets of what you're trying to do with young players look better, and they haven't done it.
I totally agree with that. They were never going to fill all their holes in one offseason. That just wasn't realistic. But to not address the offensive line at all was a dereliction of duty.
Or wide receiver.
But, I mean, especially the offensive line.
Yeah.
Particularly. Like, you missed on Zinter if you thought maybe new coaching would help him this year. But to not draft a lineman at all, knowing what was coming ahead with all of these guys' contracts being up and the
It is crazy.
The Browns may be the
dereliction
first
of
team
duty.
in the history of football, outside of maybe an expansion team, that needs 5 offensive linemen.
No, 7.
I mean, I think.
They need 2 backups too.
Technically 3.
But Whippler's probably the starting
Go
center
Bucks!
next year. Right?
They have no sure starters.
Well, of course
That's a
not.
fact.
But I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Luke Whippler.
Whippler, and it's
DeJuan
only a couple of
Jones,
games.
go Bucks.
Whippler and who?
Don't.
Whippler and who?
No, we're not
I'm
doing
stopping
that.
at Whippler
Jones.
because
We're
you
not
need
doing
2
that.
new guards
Yeah.
and maybe Tevin
They have to
Jenkins.
draft
I don't know.
3
Move
offensive
DeJuan
linemen.
back to right tackle. You got Luke at center. We need
You can't
3
trust
cannot.
him
spots.
to stay healthy.
Hey,
You cannot trust
You can't
the line.
trust Conklin to be healthy.
We can
No,
for the
well,
first
he's a free
6
agent.
He's a free agent anyway.
Yeah.